We're all ready to board our speaker today. Can I hear the yes from the teachers? Teachers? Yes. Our speaker is really on board, so that partner will allow me to onboard our first speaker this morning. Our first speaker this morning is the recipient of President Gloria Macapagal Leadership Award and outstanding individual of the field of education by Insabright International Guild of Research and Educators. Most innovative teacher by Mandawi City College. Faculty professional engaged in honorary by Crystal College. A certified guest service professional by American Hotel and Lodging Educational Institute USA. A certified hospitality professional by Institute of Tourism and Hospitality Professionals, United Kingdom. He has been invited as a resource speaker in schools, colleges, universities, public and private organizations here and abroad. Just recently, he was the only Filipino speaker during the International Working on Research and Publication Ethics at Kirawa University in India. A full-time entrepreneur, a forex trader, international speaker, and a YouTube content creator. He is also an environmental protection advocate and a mental health advocate. Ladies and friends, please help to welcome our speaker, Dr. Franz Bayron Bigian. A round of applause, please.
Good morning, everyone. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Maupay nga adlaw ayong atanan coming and flying over with a very turbulent airline as landed here in Tacloban City. I should say God is great. Teachers, God is great! Come to think of it, 2.5 years we have been stuck with the hiatus of pandemic. And who among you here, who would have think that we will all be confined and the learning process will be online and module? And now, we have celebrated just few weeks ago. Most of you have joined moving up ceremonies, graduation ceremonies, face to face. Isn't it? God is good. And also God is great because come to think of it, there is a threat of typhoon, but the sun shined out this morning. Indeed, God is great. We are 3 speakers and I have given like about an hour and a half to discuss things out. This is actually a 2 hours discussion, but I'm going to summarize this one. We will just going to highlight important things. One of the highlights I will be discussing are the first aid strategies for mental health crisis and the first aid strategies when it comes to suicide. And I just want to give you all a caution that this topic is sensitive. Ahead of time, this topic is sensitive, teachers. There might be administrators here, there might be teachers here. I will be giving examples later on, real life experiences, real life scenarios. I am not referring to you whenever you can relate this one. I am giving an example because I wanted to enlighten up the discussion with a much personal approach. And this is important. In case, take note of this. Even me, standing in front here, looking into your eyes, I cannot even detect kung sino sa inyo who are undergoing a depression, a stress, or in general, a mental health crisis. And even you guys, as you look at me, I'm alive, I'm kicking, I'm lively, but you can't even measure through my action if I am under a mental health crisis. That's why I have here contact information at 24 hours hotline here in the Philippines, whom you can reach out in cases that you have students or in your community that there are sa Bisaya pa na itabangunon na mayroong mga taong kailangan ng tulong. You can reach this out. We have the Hope Line 24/7. We have the Tawag Paglaom. This is a Bisaya group and a National Mental Health Crisis Hotline. And just to give you an overview what's happening on the mental health status of the Philippines, 1 in every 4 people is affected by mental health. 1 in every 4 people globally. Now, friends, with the population right now, how many on that number? 1 in every 4 people. It is translated to 300 million people in the world. With that number, is affected by mental health problem. And Depression affects with an estimate of 4.4 of the people globally. And anxiety and other mental disorder of the world's population is about 3.6 people are affected. And the suicide number is getting alarming. Take note, 703,000 people die by suicide. The data is still on the year 2021. And it's still increasing. Every one sa 100 deaths is caused, or reason behind, is suicide. Now, let's take a closer look. That's a global picture. Now, let's take a closer look to our country. That of the Filipinos, 63% believe that mental health crisis will be a critical problem from this year onwards. And 3.3 of the population of this country, or that's about 3.2 million Filipino live with depression. 23% sa mga Pilipino ay naniniwala na pagbaguhin natin ang pangalan na mental health issue and we change it to mind strength, it will be a lesser stigma. It will be a lesser crucial nga dawaton or much more acceptable. And 39%, most of the Asians, Japanese, Koreans, Chinese, and Filipinos, we don't really talk much about mental health. In as much as possible, we wanted to keep it. And we do self-help. Taguon lang natin, we keep it within ourselves, tinatago natin sa sarili natin kasi nahihiya tayo. Why? Because most of the time, when we talk about mental health problem, hawaray-waray, masiring nalulurong na. Habisaya, buang na siguro. Di ba? And do you think if you will be branded with that, you will be happy? And here's an additional pa, ang oo, because ang iyahang papa, ang papa sa iyang papa, o lulo sa iyang lulo, so una buang baya na. See? And 63% of the Filipinos see that mental health is a critical issue for the upcoming years. Now, 18% of us Filipinos experienced mental health challenge. That's 18% of the how many population we have in the Philippines. And 31% of the Filipinos know may kita kilala. Meron tayong kakilala close to us who are experiencing mental health challenge. And 27% of the Filipinos responded that 27% of the population, they know somebody in the community who's affected by a mental health problem. Now, what is really causing us Filipinos to have this stress and anxiety? And the bigger chunk on the pie, on the screen as you can see, the bigger chunk on the pie, and that composes 38% future of the family and the children. Iniisip natin ano ba ang kinabukasan ng pamilya natin at ng mga anak natin. That's the bigger chunk of the pie that causes Filipinos worry and lead to stress and anxiety. And second to the biggest part of the pie is your job. And most especially teacher, few weeks ago, I know for sure you were under stress from computing grades to submitting reports. All of us are concerned with our job. Teachers here in front of me might be concerned of your job. That's why you are here, because you wanted to have a raise in your salary. You need to earn a certification. Diba? You don't want to be stagnant. And that's good. And the last is increasing family responsibilities. This is not just for those who are the ilaw at ama ng tahanan, but in general. We are concerned of the responsibility, the increasing responsibility. Not only the responsibility is increasing this time, the basic commodities is increasing this time. Now, this is alarming, teachers. I wanted to show to you the data that I was able to gather based on the status we have on every school and in the country. 16.8% of the students aging from 13 years old to 17 years old attempted suicide. That's 16.8%. That's too small. You're just saying 16.8, but actually it's about 100,000. Second, 11.6% of our students aging from 13 to 17 years old seriously considered attempting suicide. And 7.1 of your students admitted that they have used illegal drugs. If I said 13 years old is the youngest age of people, of students who attempted suicide, during the pandemic, the earliest age recorded is 9 years old. Imagine that. Nagkabata, bumabata ang nag-a-attempt ng suicide. 9 years old teachers, anong grade na po ba yun? Grade 4? Tama ba ako? Grade 4. Are you not alarmed that a grade 4 student would think about committing suicide and dying and leaving this world? It is alarming. To relate this to mental health, let's try to answer this question. Do you have an appetite? Teachers, it's not about appetite of the food. May gana ka bang tumayo, bumangon at magtrabaho? Do you still have that motivation and the eagerness and the fire within you to be creative and productive? Teachers, are you well? Others would say, okay ra. Take note, ang okay ra, alanganin ba yan na natubag? Maganda ba? Maputi. Gwapo ba? Matangos ang ilong. And that's we answer indirectly here in the Philippines. Are you happy? Yes. But if you are going to range yourself, 10 is a perfect answer and 1 is the lowest answer. Are you happy? Try to evaluate yourself. Sir, it's on the level of 7 or 8. Because I have still problems at home. When I go back, and why is it important, Sir Franz, you are talking about mental health? Because I have shown for those people who just came in late, I'm so sorry, but 50% of the audience was present and we need to go, or else we are 5 speakers today. We cannot move to another schedule. So, and I have to fly back to my point of origin as well. Increasing of the mental health issues. You have seen the global data. You have seen the Philippine data. You can compare. I have given you the data of what's happening into your school. And the stigma surrounding us. I mentioned a while ago, in mga waray-waray, if somebody talk about mental health, akin may katuhiton. In Bisaya, buang-buang. Ay, baliw kasi yan eh, kasi yung tatay niya at yung lolo't ng tatay ng lola ng nanay niya, baliw kasi noon. Diba? Who would think na it's really nice to be branded with that? And we need to talk mental health for us to be. The more we talk about this, the more it is acceptable. The more we talk about COVID-19, take a look at this time. Baga nalahin hiranat ang COVID-19. Baga nalahin sipon yan ubo ang COVID-19. Because we break the stigma for 2.5 years. Who among you here have been watching every 4 o'clock during the briefing of the DOH on the counting of the positive cases, on the counting of death, on the counting of survival? I think most of us here have been doing that because we were on the state of a worst stigma. Na? And if we are going to discuss about the continuum, the equilibrium of mental health, it's just like a timbangan. Diba? That on my right hand side, you are mentally okay. Pero if I'm on the center of that line, of that blue line, I am on a balanced state. I'm not totally happy. I have problems at home. But if I move a little bit here, ang akong anak, huwag ibayad ang para sa tuition, boom. Patawag ko sa teacher, sa akong principal, you need to submit urgent ASAP right now, boom. I'm moving to the mental health illness part. And then nasubmit na ako, okay, nakautang ko para mabayaran ang tuition fee, I'm going back again. Ang akong bana naka-abroad, I'm going back again. Nakapalit may bagong sakyanan, I'm on the mental health very good status. And to appreciate that one, this is this way. From the green to the orange state to the red state. Okay? This is the continuum. This is the equilibrium of our mental health status. If we are physically okay, we have food on the table, our husband and wife is doing well on their job, on their profession, and in your job, you are okay, and your anak and your children are healthy, they're performing well in school, your mom and your dad are not broken, your farmland is producing well, your businesses are producing well, you are on the state of green. You're very happy. Pak! Ang driver nimo nangutang, sir, pwede ko mag-loan kay na ako'y ipa-hospital. Maibahan na imong savings. Slightly, you're in a pale green this time. Ang imong anak, Mami, patawag ka sa principal kay nanumbag ko. Boom! You're turning into a little bit lighter than yellow. And another, your application for promotion, sir, ma'am, sorry, but please retry again next time. If you're moving on now to the person on the laptop nga nagproblema. Diba? And simbako, a knock on the wood, somebody dear to your heart died, boom! Whew! You know, why on me? Why all in me? Diba? And we even try to ask God and question God if He's really present. If we are now on the redmost side. Battery empty na ta. Spiritually empty na ta. So, we need to talk about mental health support. We need to talk about this because we need to help and we need to give a person a medical treatment prior to a professional is available. The aim is to preserve life. Imagine a 13 years old died. A graduating student died. A fresh graduate died because he was not able to be accepted on a job he applied for. A graduate of a university in Cebu. In fact, another case just few months ago in Danao City, Cebu, a fresh graduate from a well-known university with a good grade, a rating, graduate a Bachelor of Science in Education, major in English, cum laude. Ang kanyang diploma nasa backpack, ang kanyang application letter, and all the papers nasa backpack. Drove so fast from Cebu City down to Danao City, that's how many hours? Up to, nagpadagat siya, driving down to the sea. And people were wondering, bakit umabot yung motor sa dagat? And he almost drowned. Why? Because that guy was depressed emotionally. The family was expecting too much. Kaya siya man ang panganay. See? Once you are carrying a heavy cross, an expectation of people around you is so much. Tapos, one failure, boom! Diba? And, of course, first aid is given until a appropriate professional help arrive, and we need to assess people who are experiencing some mental health issues. I don't want to discuss further with the goal. This is just self-explanatory. Okay. But take note that what knowledge am I passing to you has something to do by someone in the personal social network. Pwede pala tayong makatulong, pwede pala ako bilang teacher makapagbigay ng mental health first aid. A barangay tanod can do a mental health first aid. Yes, going back again, in every 1 million Filipino, there's only one psychologist. Diba? It's so difficult to find. So, someone who are working in the human occupation service, number 1 on the list are the teachers. Because you are on the first line of interaction to this young mind, to this a group of people inside of you, under your watch. Police officers, employment agencies, and others. Now, we are providing immediate support. But We are not aiming to make diagnosis, teachers. We will just give a support, but we will not act as if we know everything, whom we are going to provide diagnosis or make diagnosis or provide treatment. Okay. Our action plan for the mental health first aid is an abbreviation of ALG. Approach the person, assess, and assist in any crisis. And take note of this. There are signs. Number one sign, now that we are on the social media world, somebody posted, in waray-waray, karuyag ko na, makapoy na, karuyag ko na pumahuway. Is it a sign? Yes, is it a sign. In Bisaya, kapoy na kaayo ko. Lami na mo pahulay. Is it a sign? It is indeed a sign. And very wrong, mga teacher, nga mo comment mo dito mismo han iya post. Ato ta, maligo lang ta dagat, mag-window shopping lang ta, kaya ra nimo. You can see the thread. No, that's wrong. What's the best way? Sakto si sir, do a private message directly. Sir, Brian, kumusta? Nakabasa ako nimo post. It is important for us to go straight and direct to the point. Okay? Go straight and nakabasa ko nimo post amo inin. Mag-istorya kita. Saan mo ka available? That's letter A. And now, si Brian sumiring, oo, sige, available ako niyan na kulog. Listen, non-judgmentally. The wrong thing with us, nagpakamatay tungod kay gibuwagan sa bayi, ginbulagan han babayi, we say, all of us would say, daamo pat nakasaya, daghan pang nakasayal diha, ano magpakamatay man jud ka. And that's we think. Don't you know what, guys? Once the people who's experiencing such trouble will not appreciate that one, you are adding fuel to the fire. Because you don't know behind that, in his life, that girl lang pala yung nakikinig sa kanya. That girl lang pala yung kayang umintindi sa kanya at nawala pa. That's why it is crucial for that person, for Brian. And also, we also do judgmentally. We sometimes said, ayo, pag linurong-lurong, meron kasi mga bata who are in the state of crisis because they don't have parents with them. Si tatay seaman, si mama domestic helper, gibilin sa yaya, left behind with grandparents. Tapos we would say this remark, kakaistoryahan naton. Huy, pag tinuhay, kay imo kag anak na to naniniguro, diri ito naga-abroad la para lang sila ay maging masaya doon. No, that's a wrong phrase when you deliver that to the child. No. Magpapakamatay ka? Kay tungod waray imo mama pag imo graduation? Nakita nga signs. Wala kaming nakitang signs. Hindi nga nag-post sa Facebook. Hindi nga nakikipag-usap. But one sign is withdrawal. And giving out some valuable things around. Okay? So that's one of the important signs that you have to be sensitive about. It might be your student, it might be your colleagues. The approach is not dramatic, ha? Ang makikita natin sa soap opera na, sa'yo na tong damit ko kasi this is my favorite pero gusto ko sa'yo at No, it's not dramatic. It's just, Brad, gamitan na ha. We will play basketball tomorrow, di ba? I want you to use this one. That was so simple. And this is the most important thing. Baka ikaw yung unang makakita ng sign, and most of you have seen the sign, but you try to ignore. Teachers, a shift of image from a very timid, quiet person, naging very jolly and comedian inside of the class. Because people who are experiencing mental health crisis automatically wears a mask. Right away. Why? Because they don't want to be judged. Alright? Be observant. Hindi siya ganon ka-jolly, pero biglang naging comedian, biglang naging active. And another, isolation. He keeps away from the people around. Before, pag sinasabing, mga ligo tagdagat, of course, go diretso. Then later on, kamo na lang. I'll stay at my room, I'll stay at home. That's withdrawal. He's pulling out himself outside of the community and the people around him. Not the withdrawal that happens in the middle of the night. Teachers, okay? Mental health concerns can have a significant impact in our life, most especially on academic and works. From a good grade, tigda nga, from 98 ang grade han bata, pag compute nimo nahimon 78 or nahimon 85. Nangyaring ganon. And that was actually one of the few signs. And what did I see and what did you hear? And how many incidents involving that person? If it's repetitive and it is really obvious, and it's alarming already. Another real thing that happened. If you see something, say something, but also understand the stressor point. One real thing happened. Ang bata, sinaksak niya yung classmate niya. Pak! Sugat sa likod. Dinala sa principal's office. Without any assessment, dinala sa principal's office. And pagkadating sa principal's office, what they tried to resolve is just to find out and give a solution as to why giduslak, ginbuno ang bata ngaya classmate. Without any further, that's what we call RCA, root cause analysis. Do principals and school heads, kamumang yun ang dalhan primero kung naigubot, and guidance counselor, do an RCA. So here's what happened. Si principal, right away, automatically, ipatawag ang parents. Gahilak ang bata. But the parents, the principal didn't know that kid, yung bata pala, pag uuwi sa bahay, bugbog sarado ng tatay. And the mother don't have the voice to defend the father, or else silang dalawa ang mag-aaway. Pagkadating ng bata sa school, he is surrounded by bullies. The school sana yung comfort niya. The school sana will be the time that the child can breathe from pambubugbog ng tatay sa bahay. Pero pagdating niya sa school, he was surrounded by bully classmates. To the extent na nauubos niya yung pasensya na sinaksak niya yung classmate niya sa likod. Nasugatan. But the stressor was actually the father. So, pagkaalam ng bata na kukunin yung tatay niya, pinatatawag yung magulang niya, simply the kid asked, "Ma'am, can I go to the comfort room?" Principal's office, usually you have your own comfort room. Okay. While ang bata nga sinaksak, ang the clinic, given first aid. So, what they are waiting lang was the parent of the bata. Paihan na CR. Tagal na sa CR. And inside of the CR, principals and most especially mga babae, meron kayong nilalagay na tali, rope. Tapos doon nyo sinasampay yung trapo after nilalaban ninyo para may magagamit ulit. Yun ang tinanggal ng bata. Pagkadating ng parents, "Ay, sir, yes, we have a problem with your kid. Mayroon siyang sinaksak." In waray-waray, hain naman, anak-anak. Asan akong anak? With a very authoritative voice. "Ay, sir, nag-CR." Only to find out that the kid was about few minutes hanging without life. They tried to open the door, and dito sa jealousy, dito nila nakita that the tali was hanging already near the window. And they forcefully opened the door. Wala. Goodbye life. So make sure teachers, principals, guidance counselors, when you assess trouble inside of the classroom, nagduslakanay, nagbuno-bunuay, nagsuntukay, do not resolve the suntukan lang itself. Do the RCA, the root cause analysis. Find out the other side, And 70-30, 70% listen. From the story of the bata, you will find out who's the stressor, who's giving the anxiety, and who's giving the mental health problem. And do not call that person to be part of the solution. It will never be part of the solution. It will lead to a much worse scenario. That's why you need to say something and do something. Reach out, and if you have somebody nakilala, na available, who's professional, who can give help, and then ask them, and connect with individual with those resources available, and respond to the feeling appropriately. No? Sometimes we even do judgmental. Ganyan kasi, nagbago ka ng relihiyon. Very insensitive. Very insensitive remarks. No, it has nothing to do with the religion. It has nothing to do even with the food they eat. And here are what we need to do. Okay? I don't want to discuss this further, but we'll proceed to the next. All right. Raise your pen. The question as to how much is too much? Saan, ano kutob yung sobra na? Saan ba ang hangganan ng sobra na? Teachers, I know you have pens, right? Can you raise your pens, please? Magaan lang, di ba? Okay. Now, the rule here, you need to raise that pen straight without hanging your arm. Alright? Everybody, raise your arm. Sorry, raise your pen. Alright. And as you raise your pen, I'll continue with my discussion. You have to wait for me to say you can bring it down. Alright. So, we are now going to talk about the first aid suicide. Yes! And we need to let the people who are experiencing mental health problem that they are not alone. And still, with my very beginning of my presentation, I have given you this help desk. These are all in the Philippines, national and in the Visayas-wide help support that you can contact. All right? 25.7%. Or it is now on the 27th leading cause of death, suicide. All right, teachers, you can bring down your pen. When you are under stress, when you are under a trouble, at first kaya lang. Pero habang tumatagal, kahit gaano pa kagaan ng problema na yan, if it's being prolonged, and the best way is to put it down. That's the best way, to put it down. Now let's go back to our discussion. 25.7% now. The arrow is going up. Take note that again, the number on the screen might be small, but this is translated to hundreds and thousands of people. In 2019, pila ang nag-suicide in the Philippines? 2,808. In 2022, it turns to 3,529 suicide incident. Alright? We don't have the data for the 2021, 2022, and 2023. Are you expecting the number will increase? Definitely. Alright. Just to give a simple definition of suicide, it is your intention to die. Karuyag na gud nimo, no. Kapoy na, mag-uul na, di ko na kaya. And that's why you end up changing your date of birth to November 1 and 2. Diba? Mag-ilis o pizza, the birthday. And suicide ideation. When you say suicide ideation, that's the thinking that you wanted to die. Ideation. And suicide attempt is non-fatal, self-direct, potentially harmful. That's a behavior that you intend magpakamatay. That's suicide attempt. Pero not successful. Pain is not always obvious. When somebody is under a stress, an anxiety, and in general, a mental health problem, you wouldn't see the pain. I will repeat, most people would wear a mask when they are under a great pain and trouble. The sign may appear through conversation. Pabalik-balik, balitaw, karuyag ko nagad pumahuway. Pagod na talaga ako, gusto ko nang magpahinga. Ayaw ko na. I wanted to give up. You might hear that on the conversation. Or through their actions. What I mentioned to you, nangahabilin na ng mga gamit. Those through actions. Or through a social media post. Never say, kaya na nimo, laban lang. It's easy to, no? Again, do a direct message, send a private message. I am here, I'm willing to listen. I saw your post, this is your trouble. Can we talk? And if you observe one of those, you need to step up and speak up. Alright. Ideation, masulod, pumapasok sa isip nilang magpakamatay. Substance abuse, most of the addicts in the community are actually people who are having mental health problem, and their only outlet is to be under the influence of pinagbabawal na gamot. And purposelessness, waray na ako rason. Kaya ano hani pa ako habaw-bawa kalibutan, wala ko yung rason din eh. Yan nung maningkamot naman ko. Anxiety, when you say trap, teacher's trap, sinabihan ka na ng doctor na you are on a critical illness and your life might be in 3 months' time, matatapos ka na. You have a cancer, knock on the wood, you have leukemia, so critical illness. Trap ka na. Amo naman ngayon, I'll just jump on the 8th floor of the building of the hospital because you were trapped. And, again, hopelessness. Withdrawal, I mentioned this to you. You try to be out of the people, to engage with people. You wanted to be alone. Anger. Sometimes teachers na without reason, dali masuko, dali mangisog sa sulod sa classroom. Sometimes it's not actually part of this one. Sometimes it's your really intention just to get the attention of your students. Nakakaintindi ako. Recklessness and mood changes. You remember my story kanina kung bakit niya sinaksak yung kanyang classmate? Recklessness. What for? Bugbog na ako sa bahay, di ba? Bugbog pa ako pagdating dito sa school. What for? Okay, I'm not careful about anything anymore. And here's the first aid intervention. We need to find the words. We need to start a conversation with the person. And choose a place where there is privacy. Teachers, if you have seen signs to your colleagues, not on the faculty room. Hoy ma'am, nakabantay ko sa imong post, pagpakamatay ka with all the people around. Boom! Diba? No. Pull out the person, have a private conversation. Another, I have given you the list of crisis management contact information. That's important for you. Have an ample time to spend. Not because you reach out, we can talk, I'm ready to listen, tapos, ay, napakoy klase, balik na lang taon niya. After an hour, we'll talk later on. No, you cannot cut that down. You need really to give an ample time. If you need to find time to that person, make sure you are available whole day. And mention the signs that prompted you to ask that question. Sir Franz, okay lang ba? That I will tell that person, yes, very much okay. Nakita ko sa iyo, I saw to you this gesture. I heard from you several times this phrase. I've seen your action. Go and be straightforward. Why? Because when you magpaligoy-ligoy ka pa, tendency-wise, of course, they will be defensive. No! They will always say, no, it's not true. And when you start a conversation, do it this way. I have noticed that you mentioned feeling hopeless lately a lot. Nakabantay ko nimo. Murag, wala kay gana sa imong pag-teach dire. Most especially if you are a principal, be sensitive also with your subordinates. And sometimes when people feel like that they are thinking about suicide, are you thinking about suicide? Tao ka naguhunahon na magpakamatay, nagpapakamatay, nagpaplano ka pagpakamatay, pwede nga answer, direct to the point, yes. And, naguhunahon na ka pag humanity mo kinabuhi? Yes, be direct to the point. Mapul ba man, sir? Bangin na suntukon? No, it's not that way. Of course, you will talk about it. At the start, I want to talk to you because I have seen obvious signs. And once you start with the conversation, listen attentively and be calm. Kalma lang. Because you will understand more of the story of the person. Marireveal pa lang on your face. Could be problem sa balay, problem sa uya, problem sa trabaho. Sir Franz, what if the stressor is the principal? Mag-resign? Magpa-reassign? Of course, if you are a colleague, teacher ka, and the stressor is really a principal, make sure lang, the best way that you can do, work from 8 to 5, go home, and find an outlet outside of the school. Okay? Dili kay mangita ka, o kauban nimo na dilipod ganahan ni ma'am principal og inyong libakon na mag-recruit na pod muglain unsa ni multi-level marketing, okay, and so many others. Okay, express respect the opinion. As I mentioned, ayo pag-ingon niya, ano, tungod na imong relihiyon kay bumalhin ka sa imong relihiyon, tungod na kay no, don't give an opinion. Focus on the person's feeling and talk honestly and genuinely. Okay, I have 5 minutes remaining. I have to wrap up my presentation. Don't ask in a way that you are trying, don't phrase the statement, by the way. Don't phrase your statement nga ginhahatagan ni mo hiyahin chance to answer a yes or no. That's why it should be direct to the point. Kumbaga, you should slap the person through your questioning the reality. And don't do this phrasing, or else they might answer no. Okay? And never do this. Sige, gusto mo man ka, hakog ka man, pagpakamatay. No, don't do that way, okay? And don't promise that you won't tell somebody else. As I mentioned kanina, you need also, as a person who wanted to give a help, make sure that you have also other people to support you. That's why don't promise nga, sige, aton lain yung sikrito lain naton. Because, be honest, Mark, nakastoryahan ko ikaw tinuod. Anaton principal, naka-observe nga pa mo, ginstoryahan ko hiya ha. Say, be true. Do not give lie statement. Okay? So these are not what not to say. Okay? And make sure you create a safety plan. If the child or yung imong kauban sa balay, give heads up to the family. Nga whenever katurog na, time to sleep, keep all the knives, keep all the rope. Nga sir, the blanket, I cannot keep the blanket, but actually most of the time, the blanket is being used as the suicide thing. Anyway, again, this is just a repeat. It is important for us to get help. Suicide steps, equip yourself with the patient knowledge, know everything, get the background, talk, make sure that you have those do's and don'ts when talking, and listen. When you listen, 70-30, 70-30, 70 is listening, 30% is the talking. Alright? And plan, create an action plan, think of those people who will be involved, nga safety, diri himuon nga libakunon in the community or libakunon in the school, and implement. And of course, it is important for you who's extending a help to give a self-care also. There should be an activity. That one, teachers and school heads. Suicide is preventable, and the antidote is kindness. Let's always be kind to people around us. And to wrap up my presentation, I wanted to share to you a prayer whenever you yourself is under a mental health crisis or somebody else is undergoing mental health crisis. Don't worry, these presentations will be shared by our organizing committee. I would like to thank you all, not only to the organizers, but also to you participants for coming over, giving your time, and be part of my crusade to be one of those few peoples in the world who are mental health advocates. Let's be a mental health advocate who knows we can save one life of a young innocent. You can reach me out through my Facebook page, Franz Byron, or visit me. You want to know more about me? You can visit me on my YouTube channel. And you can also extend invitations through my email. And also, do not forget to follow the Facebook page of H&L Training Center. Alright? Once again, thank you so much. Maupay nga adlaw kay iyong tanan.
In behalf of H&L Training Center Management, certificate of recognition is awarded to Dr. Franz Baron Bigigan for his invaluable services rendered as a resource speaker during the conduct of a training, international training, and seminar for teachers and school administrators with the theme, Sulong Lokalidad School Innovation Teachers Creativity and Soft Skills, as per CPD Accreditation number 2019-329, given this 23rd